Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for letting us take a couple weeks gap to kind of think about what we've been learning and see what we can do to build upon that. And that's exactly what I want to do today. I want to talk about the gaps. The things from when we hear it the first time to when we feel like we are using it. If you think of it in the 4 stages of learning, how are we moving from unconscious incompetence to conscious competence? Ideally, we'd be able to move things to unconscious competence when we wanted to, so that we could do it without thinking if we were pressed. However, the sweet spot when you're working with a team is to live in conscious competence so that we all know what we're doing and why we're doing it. Then we can talk about it, and then we can train on it, we can coach it, we can parachute it. So let's talk about those things. This year we've spent a lot of time talking about culture and systems and service, both here in these videos, in one-on-one conversations I've had with you, in the group training we did, and through the Define the Shift topics that Mike has been incorporating into our learning every week. So I want to start just by asking a question you might be thinking, and that is, why do we spend so much time talking about the things that aren't really the day-to-day job that we have? I think that's a valid question, and so I just want to address that in the balanced way. We invest in people. We don't just invest in positions, and we don't just invest in to-do lists. We have those very well-defined positions, very well-defined to-do lists and checklists. But it's the people that make the difference in our business. It's the people that make the difference in our lives. And it's the people that make the difference in your lives. So if you think of it from a balanced perspective, if we see you like our most important person, what we want to do is give you opportunities and ways to continue to learn and grow inside of the culture that we want to achieve. So taking the time to talk about these things is an investment in our culture, it's an investment in our team, and it's an investment in you as a person. You giving back is just the reverse of what I said. It's an investment into you as a person, it's an investment to you as a teammate, and it's an investment to us as a culture. So all the things we've learned are threaded. They go hand in hand. And the trick becomes the gap. So I started this video just 2 minutes and 33 seconds ago by saying we took a gap for a couple weeks. And inside of that gap, we met. We missed Chris, but the rest of us met and talked about service and most important person. And your nuggets were shared on the dash, and everybody had great feedback on that, and it was great to see different perspectives. But I also listened. Were there gaps from what I was saying I wanted to talk about and what we were hearing? Are there gaps between what we say we're going to do and what we're doing? So I want you guys to think about ways that we can keep growing together and in a positive way keep learning, both in terms of the systems that we use in our day-to-day and the culture that we're doing that. So at the end of this, yes, it is very important that we all know how to do the day-to-day tasks that are given to us to help make balance run. We are a massage studio, and sometimes we don't talk about that. And all clients leave happy. We know that, but what does that mean? It means that we've booked them correctly. We've listened. We've asked good clarifying questions. We've left notes. We've written good documented information for our therapists. We've gotten them here on time, in on time, given a good massage, got them checked out, and correctly. All of these things done really well. And if we do those things, that can make a client happy. And then balance, we always yes that. Yes, that's our job. And how can we make that better? I've had many different conversations with all of you, including Mike, over the past week and a half about the things that we can do to keep strengthening that. And you're all going to have different challenges that you're working on. But what I want to do is have you all use your plates. And when I say what I want to do is have you all use your plates, it's a very nice balanced way of saying use your plates. This is one of the things that's going to make a difference for you. If you aren't in the habit, you might think it's not necessarily because you haven't been doing it. Sometimes the trick in a culture is when we're asking you to do something that's not a habit, there's sometimes pushback when you think, well, I haven't been doing it, I don't need it, or my way works better. And a good culture, we're able to take those hurdles, those shocks of having to be Alexa's reminding me to do 45s. To take the shocks of the things that we need to change, and we do so with the yes and approach because we want to make sure we're doing things the balanced way. So again, if you're not in the habit of using your plate, think through all those excuses that you're going to work through your head as to why you don't, and just put them aside and find a way to use your plate. And then using your plate is more than just writing on it a client need. It's looking at the internalization section and writing down those things that you're going to internalize. Being aware of the big things that we're working on, so at the end of the day, when you're handing your information back over to your new teammates, you're doing so in a shift handover. Everything that's on your plate should either be contact logged, client service board, or shift handover, and sometimes all three. Which brings me to the thing that another gap that I want to talk about is communication. The good news in all of this is you cannot overly communicate at balance. You really can't. Sometimes you might think, wow, that is a lot of communication for the same thing. Redundancy is how you can be successful in a business that relies on communication. We don't make anything. You and I don't make a thing. Our job is service. We don't massage. So the tools that we use start with our voice and our mind and goes to the computer, right? We type, we talk on the phone. So the tools that we use, the basic sense, is just communication tools. And then we've refined what that means, how you can give good service, how you can ask good clarifying questions. But communication is important because you're not always going to be the one sitting in the seat. So if you take a booking call and you don't leave great notes, well, they might call back 2 days later when you're not here and someone's trying to figure out that work. The yes and the seamless service allows, it doesn't matter who answers the call, who's doing the work, we've communicated with each other. So thinking in terms of that, this isn't going to be a whole video on how to communicate, but I want to give you time to pause and think about where you're at in the communication journey and how you think you're good at making sure things are getting contact logged, making sure things are added to the client service board, that when you are working and you're looking at the client service board, that you're actively engaging in it. Every day we assign people to it. So how are you actively engaging? How are you bumping things back up to the leadership team if you need to? And then how are you communicating with the leadership team when they're here and you're here? So these are things we'll be talking about one-on-one, but I want you to think about that. So where do we go from here? I'm going to be getting more of those times with you scheduled starting this week. I asked Mike to look at the calendar and get us times, probably an hour this week, and then we're going to be rotating those in. So what I'd like you to do is think about what you're internalizing. Write this down if you need to. Think about what you are currently working on internalizing and what you think you need more clarification on, what doesn't make sense, or what you would like to work on. Please email me those individually by the time you meet with me. So if you get scheduled tomorrow, email me by tomorrow. If for some reason you're not scheduled until Friday, please try to email me by Thursday if you work. So we're going to be spending time looking at that. And then these meetings will also be just coming training to help build up some of the things we're doing, which is what I want to speak about today too. I want to just pause and talk about what the front desk team dynamics can be with regards to some of the bigger projects we have. When you have a team that's a little bit more seasoned, which you guys are, and you're doing a fantastic job, we are able to get through the day-to-day a little bit more quicker because you're more consciously competent in it. You don't have to stop and think about as much, like, how do I do this? You just know. So once we can keep firming up the communication piece of it with contact logs, client service board, and we're all engaging in those, we're going to have much more time to work on different things, and they can be more fun things because they're different, but just kind of more project-based in a sense, and they're not all big projects, just things that we need to do. So what we're going to be focusing on as the closers are going to take the champion lead of doing more deep clean. I've noticed the deep clean isn't necessarily getting moved forward. I looked at the deep clean checklist a week and a half ago, and the lobby hadn't been touched since September. So the closers are going to need to take lead on making sure that is getting moved forward every day. We don't have 16 therapists in a day, so there should be time that we can touch deep clean. If we can't, I want a real valuable reason and not an excuse. We need to make sure that we understand a clean building and business is really at the heart of good service as well, especially when we've been talking about the coronavirus. So I want to see that get moved forward with more thoughtful intention. It makes sense to the closers to do it. If there's something we need to get handed over to the openers, please have that conversation with me. We're going to see Ivy get more of our 1BMT needs. That's getting defined still, but it's going to be more of the HR. I don't like to use HR because I think it is to me, people are more than just a resource, but it's going to be helping out with some of those needs, from doing MBO entries to making sure checklists are getting done, just that we're up to date, portals are up to date for therapists, all of that good stuff. So Mike and I are going to be working with Ivy on that. Amy is going to be helping with some more of the social media and some rate increase things. So she's going to be helping me update the website, and then she's going to be helping with some pictures and write-ups for the immersion chair. So we're going to be working on getting that marketed as well. And then we have a need for some constant contact newsletter help, and that might be a combination of Amy and Danielle. So Danielle can do some editing review, since that is not my strength, if she's here. And so we're going to be looking at that. Chris, your voice is still going to be valuable when we're looking at role play. So you and I are going to be touching base a lot as we get ready to roll out the new rate information. And I'm going to have you help me keep moving that forward with the team. Mike last week shared with you guys the new strategy for high fives. Ivy, I'm going to have you help me get that written up so that we can share that with everybody. But I want you guys to think of the high fives as a valuable tool that we can use a little bit better to touch the things where we might have small gaps. So again, when you hear these videos, know that you're awesome. You're doing great. We're able to have these conversations because of the culture that we have, the commitment that we have to each other and our team, and that we're going to just keep working to close any little gaps that we have. In order to do that, I need you guys to, one, take notes on things that you need to learn and write them down and use that on your plate. Two, share with me what you're learning. We're going to do that in the email that you send me, and we're also going to be doing that in the reviews that we'll be scheduling the next bit too, as we work on visioning. So I appreciate your time. I just want to keep encouraging you when you're here to think about the positive impact that you make on a daily basis, how you can grow as an individual and a teammate, and how collectively that is the culture that we are. We are a sum of our parts, and your part is very important into this process, this business, this community, and to me. So thank you so much. I look forward to getting your emails this week and starting to just work with you one-on-one more for learning on any topic, any training, and make sure that I help make this a very valuable piece of your career. Thanks. Bye.